Hi, welcome to my studio where I do stone sculptures. My name is Shawne, and I'd like to tell you, how did I become a stone sculptor? Good question with an interesting answer. I've always been into art since I was a kid. I attended some classes at a museum when I was young, learning how to paint, draw, sketch, work with perspective and things. So that kind of set the tone. And then throughout junior high and high school, I would take every art class possible. Got out of high school, attended art school in Denver. My goal was to become a commercial artist. Got out of school there, and things just didn't really pan out in terms of finding a job in that field, so had to look for other jobs, and I stumbled across a job that I never even considered, but it seemed like a good opportunity and it seemed like it paid pretty decent. That was being a garbage man in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I loved that job. I was the loader, so meaning I rode on the back of the garbage truck. The driver drove, I rode on the back, I'd jump off the truck, dump the trash, jump back on. Sometimes the truck's still moving. And let me tell you, that is like a lot of kids' dreams, to ride on the side of a vehicle that's moving and being able to jump on and off of it. And I just thought it was great. And the other part of it, obviously, is one person's trash is another person's treasure. So I came across a lot of like super cool things, and in turn, my friends and family got really interesting things for like, say, Christmas. One day our route was at the base of Pikes Peak, essentially, in Manitou Springs. The day before, it had rained. Washed some stone down into the road, and one of them being a piece of sandstone, pretty good size. So I got off the back of the truck to go move this piece of sandstone, and the moment I picked it up, I thought, man, I could really do something with this stone. And I had to find a way to, like, how do I put it on the truck? So the garbage company I worked for was pretty progressive when it came to recycling. I don't know when it actually began, but this is, early mid-90s. And they had built these cages on the sides of the trucks, and that's where like tin, glass, aluminum, paper product would go. And then at the end of the day, it gets sorted out back at the shop. So I had the stone, I looked over at the recycle, and I thought, recycle? Yeah, you gotta go in the trash, I'm sorry. Not my proudest moment, but I had to get that stone. Fast forward, get the stone home, and I thought, what can I do with this? So I'm a huge lover of Mesa Verde National Park. It has a bunch of cliff dwellings. It's down by the Four Corners. And I thought, okay, I'll do my version of Mesa Verde. So I took a regular claw hammer, like you would just have it laying around your house, and a flathead screwdriver, just like any old flathead screwdriver. And sandstone's soft, so you could just sit there and tippity tap. And I did this rendition of the cliff dwellings. I took it over to this like consignment shop, and they called up a couple days later and they said, hey, do you want to pick up your check, or do you want us to send it to you? And I thought, oh man, that's awesome. It's sold. So then I was like, okay, I got to learn more about stone sculpture. Like, hammer and flathead screwdriver is not the answer. So I started buying some books, kind of like instructional books, and they were super helpful in terms of like showing techniques and different stone and whatnot. And I also started spending more time in the Santa Fe and Taos, New Mexico area, visiting galleries, really honing in on like bronze sculptures and stone sculptures. And that's when I first came across like understanding alabaster. It was like so beautiful to me, the sculptures that folks were doing with it, the colors in it, the texture, the lines they were able to get, the finish on it. Sometimes it was shiny, sometimes it was like rough. And being able to mix those two together just really invoked like this powerful emotion in me that I was like, I got to do some alabaster. So back in Colorado Springs, I came across an art store that carried stone sculpting supplies. So like they carried alabaster, they carried hammers, chisels. So I bought some of that stuff and I started doing sculptures, and I've now doing it for a while and only working in alabaster because I didn't have any knowledge of working in marble or anything like that at the time. So I had an art show. The right person saw my work at the art show, they offered me an opportunity to be a stone sculpting instructor at Pikes Peak Community College, located in Colorado Springs. And all I had to do was put together a curriculum. Now, they were fully aware that I am a self-taught sculptor. I have nothing really to add to that resume in terms of sculpting goes. But I did have like the old school portfolio. You know, you walk in with your goofy little leather thing. I don't even know if they do that anymore. I think probably everything's online. And you open your leather binder up and you flapping the pages showing your art. So I had to put together a curriculum. Didn't know how to do it. Fortunately, my parents were school teachers, so they helped me. I present that to the school. They hire me. I teach stone sculpting, and that was awesome. I don't think that economically it was like super viable for the school, so eventually the position ended, which means I lost my job. And then I had to find like something else to do with my life. So I came upon a career where I could advance and become like a professional. But then that didn't really allow me time to do sculpting, so I kind of didn't do a whole lot of sculpture after that. I would mess around here and there, but I also was moving around a lot, and so I would like live in apartments and things. So that wasn't really good for sculpting at all. But eventually we moved to Michigan, and the property that we bought has this big building on it, and we converted it into a studio. So now I work in all different kinds of stones. So I left that career, and now I'm just full-time stone sculptor. So now I work in marble, I work in onyx, I started working in alabaster, I love it, honeycomb calcite, Picasso marble, basalt, a number of stones I work in. And but it all goes back to that stone that I found when I was a garbage man, and that moment that I felt when I picked it up and being able to create something with it. Now I'm represented by a great gallery in Sylvania, Ohio called Hudson Gallery, and also the Toledo Museum of Art in Toledo, Ohio. They have an area called the Collector's Corner where artists are selected and can have their work on view there, where visitors to the museum can actually purchase the work. So that's been a great opportunity. I was doing art shows, but as you know, those are tough. I mean, if you're an artist and you're traveling around and doing art shows and it's summertime, it's hot, those afternoon thunderstorms come in, people are scrambling to protect their work. Not so much with me, with my sculptures, but you know, it costs money. It costs money to enter the show. It costs money to, like, if you're traveling, to stay like in a hotel, food. So you have to sell a certain amount of art before you even start making money. So maybe about a year or two ago, I stopped doing art shows altogether so that I could just focus in on being in my studio. I create the art. I take the art to the gallery or to the museum, and then it's basically like that. Like, I don't have to sell anything to anybody. I don't have to talk to the folks. Not that I mind talking to people. It's just that I don't have to be the one that's selling my work. So I let the gallery and the museum do that, and that's worked out great because it just allows me, like I said, the time to just do what I'm doing in here, really focus in on creating. So that's a little insight into how I got involved in stone sculpting. Completely different route than some people probably take, but it was just that chance encounter as a loader on the back of a garbage truck at the base of Pikes Peak, picking a stone up off the road. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.